Quickly though, before we can probably talk forever, of course, but we know that time is money in this business.
But they're like, you're not in it for the big big money, right? That takes.
Just like that, it is time once again. It is episode 20, Sean. We talked about episode 20.
We knew it, baby.
20 is a special episode. They say if you get to episode 20, you're good. You're good for a podcast. Happy long weekend. First of all, I hope everyone's enjoying. Stay safe. Enjoy the family over the long weekend. We have a huge guest episode for you for the long weekend. I'm so happy. Kunal Desai from Bulls on Wall Street coming through, founder of Bulls on Wall Street coming through. It was a great conversation.
Amazing.
We touched on a ton of topics, his backstory, how he looks at the market, a few ideas for the market today.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of sort of charismatic, intelligent, honestly, I mean, the guy dropped pieces that we'll take, for use for a very long time. I want to thank Kunal for sure for coming through. But I know that we just talked about a long weekend. I'm going to do something here before we throw it over.
Okay, do it.
I talked about this on the main show. Are you a Cadbury cream egg? I know you don't have, you're not into sweets, but I got to get this sorted out because you're either a mini egg guy or a Cadbury cream egg guy.
Mini egg.
Mini egg, yeah. I'm a mini egg. I used to be but it's too sweet. Too sweet.
Yeah.
It's too much right now.
Yeah.
Shout out to Kunal, man. That was a great interview, and I'm excited to show it to everybody.
All right, guest number one, the Markets Podcast, episode 20. Absolutely great conversation with Kunal Desai coming at you right now. Enjoy. Special episode, as we mentioned, for the first time ever on the podcast. We have a guest, a very, very special one. Kunal Desai is the founder and head trader over at Bulls on Wall Street, and is joining us for a long holiday weekend, Kunal, episode of the podcast. Great to see you.
Hey, welcome, guys. I appreciate you guys having me on. You guys have done a nice job over here. So you guys, essentially, if I'm getting this right, you've done what CNBC should have done, but you guys ended up doing it.
Right? I mean, that's the whole goal anyways, is to give people an opportunity or an alternative, I guess, to the CNBCs and the Bloombergs of the world. But why don't we start with a little bit on your backstory and your history a little bit for anyone who might be seeing you for the first time. This guy is one of the originals when it comes to the online trading community and social media, super active in the online trading community through social media. Talk us through it. How did you start? Where did you start? What are you looking at today?
Hey, so, a big part of my story is literally right place, right time, multiple times. And, some of that is just you got to put yourself out there. But I started trading post high school. Originally, I'm dabbling into it. And that was in the dot-com boom. So I'm 42. And, I went to college in 1999. And it was like the first time I had access to computer labs and like the internet, all this cool stuff. And so what a great place to just start doing anything, right? Like you're in college, you're not really going to be doing much anyways. College is so different than high school. In high school, it's like you have sports, practice, school, study, tutoring, like nonstop. Your parents or you have all this stuff. And then college, it's like your schedule is just so relaxed. It's like there's days you don't have any classes. You might have one class. So I was in that computer lab like nonstop because it was like the dot-com boom at the end of it. And so it was just like a right place, right time. I didn't make any money, but just the opportunity to see that, right, in real time. My dad gave me $1,000 and, I'm using this thing called freetrade.com, which is like one of the old school brokers that got bought up by Ameritrade. What a time to be alive to see stocks go from $20 to $500. And once again, I didn't make any money, but right place, right time, because that just really, that really gets you going. It gets you pumped up, to see something like that. So I traded throughout college after that. And of course, right place, right time again, because then I saw the bubble burst. And of course, I didn't make really any money again because the market kept crashing. Every time market spike up, I'd be doing great. And then, market would crash. So I get to see, like in my formative years from 18 to 22, this awesome cycle that was uber exaggerated, right? Like compared to what we see now. Like we see this stuff today, we're like, oh, the S&P's up 9% this year, right? And we're like all like, yeah, this is huge.
The VIX is at $11. Yay.
Yeah. Well, back then it was like, you're seeing stocks move 50, 100% that are billion-dollar companies. It was pretty cool. And so I got a great start and just right place, right time. And then the online education thing was also like literally just a little bit of blind luck. I started posting my trades on Twitter along with a few other stock traders in 2008, I believe that is. So there's like a recession happening, the market's crashing, and I'm finally getting good around that time. And lo and behold, like this Twitter thing, Twitter, Facebook, like all this stuff is kind of coming into fruition, and, now we're all fighting for views and clicks and, all this other BS. But back then it was just like a free for all. Like there's only a handful of us even posting about this stuff. And so I started my business after that. So it's just a little bit of right place, right time, multiple times. And so then I got a head start really learning the lessons of business because I had years of first mover status, using Twitter and Facebook. Man, I was looking back on some of our stats. It's like I used to post links on Twitter when I had maybe like 5,000 followers, and you would get 3,000 clicks, like thousands of clicks, right? Wow. So that thousands of clicks is like when you're selling products or doing anything is worth thousands and thousands of dollars at a time. And so right place, right time. Once again, I caught a couple lucky breaks, and then there was some hard work and stuff in between, and a lot of fun.
It's an opportunity. I mean, Sean, you were around at that same time during the dot-com bubble, and it gives you such an opportunity to learn in a time, as you were saying, when volatility's through the roof, companies are doubling, tripling, quadrupling, but companies are also going to zero. So I want to get into.
Are we not living in that time right now?
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
We're all similar ages.
It gives us an opportunity to kind of compare different markets. But great look back. I know, like, you were there, you saw some of that. What was your experience?
Yeah, so I think it was very similar to what Kunal's talking about here again, and that was just that you want to live these moments because what it does is it thickens your skin, really. To be able to see stocks move like that, and of course, you mentioned 2008, there we have the housing crisis, various things just going crazy. And Kunal, like you, my parents immigrated, and I really think that provided a lot of motivation to me as well, because starting our own business, and I know that probably motivated you to what you're doing right now in Bulls on Wall Street, just getting into the game, not only as a trader, but then helping share your passion and knowledge for everything else, which builds the building blocks to allow us to trade and understand what's happening in a market like today, a market like what we just had through COVID and things like that. I feel blessed every single day, similar to what you said when we were off camera here. How fun is it to trade? This is what we're talking about. I feel blessed to be able to do this for 20 plus years.
It's pretty cool. My mom always says one thing to me. She says, hey, trading is a privilege. It's not a right. And like a lot of things in America, right? You have a right to vote. You have a right to do things. Trading is a privilege. So what she's essentially doing is give me a little pep talk so I don't go out gambling and YOLOing, right? She always says, she'll come up to me. My parents were just here for the last couple of months. I'm having my first baby. So
boom,
they were here helping out. And she said, hey, son, trading is a privilege. It's not a right. Like you've got to go out and earn it every day.
Right.
So don't get, she's like, I see you pumping your fist, doing your thing.
Yeah.
Right. And she's like, remember, this is a privilege. There are a lot of people that do a lot better and more important work than you and make a lot less money. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. Right. Like, I got 3 sisters, they're doctors, and they make less money than me and they do awesome things. Right.
Yeah, they're actually saving people. All we're doing is trying to save our account, right? But no, 100%. And I just feel that And I'm glad to have you on the show now because you talked about pumping up trades and things like that. I mean, Trader TV Live is really all about doing that, and that is educating, showing good opportunities, celebrating the wins, but at the same time, acknowledging your failures, because we're not all going to put on 100% trades. You know, some trades are going to go in our face and blow up, and we'll talk about that maybe if you have any examples of that. But it's all about
a lot of those.
Yeah, exactly. It's about controlling your emotions, but at the same time, if you're not an emotional guy or trader, it does, you know, take away a little bit, I think, of the luster of the job. But yeah, so far so good. Kunal, thank you again for coming on, and let's keep going.
Yeah, I mean, you brought up a really good point, and I want to kind of touch on that. And you've created your business around this, but you know, the importance of the learning process when it comes to trading, and the importance of finding that idea and finding that strategy and finding that, you know, theme in the market that just clicks with you and gives you the opportunity to come every day prepared with ideas. Talk a little bit about, you know, the importance to you of learning, first of all, before you know, dive in over your head, which I think a lot of, especially new traders, struggle with. They want to be successful. They want to get in and, you know, take advantage of the action while it's hot, but they don't really understand, you know, the concepts and the strategies behind that. Talk a little bit about the learning and the mentorship, specifically being able to find someone that you click with and understand, you know, the philosophy before you get your feet too wet, I guess.
Sure. So there's a multiple levels of all this. So first of all, traders are like information whores, meaning they want always more information. They believe that, and when you're new and even when you're experienced, if I have more information, a new class, a new this, a new that, a new scan, a new strategy, I will therefore be better. I will make more money. And so they never really get good at anything. You go on the Twitter, the YouTube, right? You see some kid in sweatpants and a hoodie, and he's like, I made $682. He's got tattoos up his arms and up his necks. And you're like, if this guy can do it, I should be trading this Forex. It's like, no. The guy's wearing a hoodie and he's got tattoos. Relax, right? Right? He hasn't worn a dress shirt in his life. But beyond that, like, we just think that. We think if we have more information, we will be better. And so what ends up happening is you homie hop, which is that's a 90s term for those of you guys that don't know. But it just means, right,
we're 41 too, so it's all good.
Yeah, you homie hop. But these guys, what they do, and I've been guilty of this too. Hey, I'm trading stocks right now. And then, oh my gosh, this guy is trading options so good. I should join his chat room. Now you got 2 chat rooms up. How can you focus on your trading? You got 2 damn chat rooms up. You got 2 mics coming in. You got 2 video feeds. I don't even know. What do you do? 1 AirPod on each? Like, how does that work? Right? Then you start going through, you watch a little YouTube, you're like, this guy, right? He made millions of dollars trading Forex.
Kunal, let me stop you right here quickly, because how much of that is actually BS? I mean, there's a point to what we do here at Trader TV Live where, and I know you've had some big trades, we've talked about big trades, big losses, and you have YouTube videos out as well. But I don't really like all those postings where you get people like you just mentioned, I just made $70,000 on one trade. Like, that's clickbait stuff, right? I mean, I think what guys like you and I do,
all bullshit.
Right, is actually teach.
It's not only just bullshit, it's a form of advertising, but usually the people that do it have zero money because it's also slightly illegal to do this.
Right.
Like, you are not, like, if you are own a business, you are a broker, a financial advisor, this and that, you can't be running around telling people you made $5 million when they cannot duplicate that.
Right.
Right? So
you can't even prove it.
It's a huge gray area that is actually below the gray area. So that's why you see, like, the best traders I know, guys like Investors Live, they're like these traders that have these awesome businesses but are like have made tens of millions of dollars. You will never see them post a P&L thing because it's illegal. You're risking everything. And so it is it's a sweet spot to it. And so if you're new, like, don't fall for all this stuff. One thing to do is like find a strategy or a style that speaks to you.
Right.
And then really get down into a granular level, that specific thing. Okay, if you're a scalper and you like to trade off support resistances, okay, learn everything about support resistances and scalping and Fibonacci's and moving averages and, those kind of things. If you are a trend trader
Right.
that swing
Momentum.
trades, okay, learn everything you need to do about earnings breakouts.
How long did it take you basically to figure out what kind of style of trader you are? Because that is 100% accurate. I feel the same way. Stay in your lane, I mean, if you are using technicals, use the technicals, Don't get caught up. Oh, there's breaking news. And we say the same thing. I got news in my ear and today. Oh, Peloton did this. I just jump right over and I'm all excited about it. But we don't have to be like that. Stay in your lane and focus on a certain style. How long did it take you to find maybe that magic kind of setup that you're looking for or the kind of style of trader you are? I know for me, it took years.
Almost a decade.
Okay.
Almost a decade.
Perfect. Okay.
Now, granted, I was homie hopping.
Right.
So, I was, first of all,
so did you start out on a prop floor? Did you start on a prop floor and that's where you got the ideas from others, or were you start at home with retail?
I started at home at retail. Like my dad was interested in trading.
Right.
And, right place, right time of like the .com boom.
Yep,
we have the first online people. And so, I started all this, but I had no formal education. And I just was hopping around. I see something, and you didn't have like, you didn't have Twitter and all this stuff.
Right.
You had to go Google Blogspot, the Yahoo Finance message boards.
Yeah, AOL Instant Messenger. You got mail.
Yeah. So you're doing all this stuff of just like the terrible time. I met my mentor, Paul, in 2006. So it took me quite some time. And he was the one that actually was like, when we're talking, he's like, all right, you know a lot about stocks. You've got all these years of stocks experience. You're 25 years old. You've been studying this almost a decade. You've got a lot of amazing knowledge, but you don't know anything about trading. And I'm like,
right.
I've been trading every day for all these years. He's like, no. You have knowledge about the stock market because you've been sitting there on MSN Money and Yahoo Finance and all this bullshit. But he goes, you don't know anything about trading because trading is about having a rule-based system for entries, exits, risk management, finding stocks and so on and so forth, right? All the different things that go in. She's like, you got a ton of knowledge about stocks and you have zero about trading.
Right.
And I'm like, oh man, I thought I had been trading. And he's like, no, you haven't. Right. And so, a big portion of what we did was like corral all this knowledge and also the different interests that I had of like what I gravitated towards and put it into a system, right? Something that is duplicatable, something that's, like a checklist, like a pilot, right? If you see a pilot or a surgeon, they have very, very specific checklists for so many things, right?
Right.
As traders, we're spammers. We just button jam sometimes.
Yes, sir.
And so we don't have anything like that.
That's not a bad
But
thing.
if you have specifics, you have a setup, right? There's 4 market cycles, right? So you have accumulation, distribution, run up, run down. So each market cycle has different strategies that you have to trade. So if you have checklists, okay, I want to trade this setup that works in this market cycle.
Right.
Okay, these are the things I'm going to do. How do I find it? Okay, how do I enter it, exit it? How do I manage the risk, so on and so forth? And
Very methodical processes to the.
We touched on it a little bit to kick this off, but we're in one of those markets right now where it just seems like a slow grind every day, all day. All we do is just keep going up. Let's talk about the market today, what you're looking at today, how traders can maybe look at a low volatility bull market. It is a really, really raging bull market right now, and what you can find as far as ideas on a daily basis today.
So first of all, a lot of people assume that when there's a lot of volatility, that's when, right, you have the bull market. Bull market is defined by low volatility. You just go up a little bit every damn day. That's what a real bull market is, right? You don't get as many shakeouts and so on and so forth. So we are in a bull market. Now, lately, we have been in a narrow bull market, meaning, we've been led by, a handful of maybe 10 stocks or so. And then there's small sectors that have been going, like lately crypto stocks have been going. But these things are changing. If you look today, one of the things that I've been stalking and was, I've been fooled by it so many times, right? This IWM, right? We've all, for us day traders that like to trade volatility and rowdy names, we've been staring at this IWM for months and months and months, and it's faked us out so many times, right? And finally, today, it's starting to peek its way out of the range, right? And if you go back, I don't even know, maybe a year or so, like now we're getting into it. And so this is what I'm pocketing, right? This is where I'm staring at because, hey, it's been great trading NVIDIA and all this stuff. But look, people think this is like a crazy market because NVIDIA goes up 30 points. It's $1,000 stock, right? Like, oh my God, right? That's fine. And it's been fun. But there is a whole world of stocks beyond NVIDIA and Tesla. And I love trading these stocks. And, probably in the last 2 years, 75% of my trades have been in those stocks, these magnificent seven kind of big cap stocks. But now we're finally getting something. If this IWM breaks, then the world opens. Yep. Because then all of a sudden it becomes a stock pickers market. What I mean by stock pickers market is you get paid to do homework, to go through your scans and find names. Like in a real bull market, finding those like unloved, underfollowed gems, they're not necessarily small caps. They could be 10 billion, $20 billion companies, but nobody's talking about them. And their floats may be fairly low. And they just start busting out and they start going crazy. And, we've got a level around here on this 210, the IWM. If we can close it and hold, and it fakes out a lot, then this market changes a lot. Like all of a sudden, it opens yourself up to some mid caps, some small caps, some mediums, and then we're going to have some fun. You can only make so much money trading Amazon and, Apple and stuff.
It gets to that point. Give us a look at your day here. What's your time frames like? What's your hold period like? Are you flat at the end of the day? Are you 2, 3, 4 day kind of a hold person? Yeah. Do you scalp some, hold some? Give us your approach here a little bit.
So I have two baskets of trading. Number one is you have to at some point do swing trading or position trading, as some people will call it, because day trading is not infinitely scalable. Everybody thinks it might be, but it's not. Like I've seen it, like I trade way better with a smaller day trading count than a big one because you only have so much money to put in certain places. Right. You have liquidity problems, you have slippage, you have to have so many positions going. Like I think day trading is great and it's my passion. It's where most of my income comes from. But like I personally, I can't hold more than 3 or 4 day trades at a time, and so then you have slippage and all this stuff that comes into play. So you have to do some swing trading and position trading. Beyond that, if you really look in 2024, the market's been gapping pretty much every day. Like most of the money has been made overnight or in the pre-market. You haven't necessarily gotten huge intraday ranges. So while this market, specifically the QQQ is grinded up, right, for, since end of October, beginning of November, a lot of it's been in gaps. And it's just been grinding up. So there's a subset of money that's just happening on the swing trading side. Stock gaps up. These big mega caps, their ATRs are maybe 2-3% a day, right?
Right.
NVIDIA is a little bit more than that. But, most of them are 2-3% a day. Apple, and Microsoft are in the ones. So a lot of the money is made on the swing trading. So I do think once you get to a certain account size, you should do both because day trading is not infinitely scalable, but also certain markets call for swing trading. But look, if you got 20 grand or 30 grand, learn one thing, become a master at it, dominate it, celebrate it. get really good at it.
Hit little
and then-
emojis on your screen that say bang and then money coming down. I don't know if you've seen the show. We have a heck of a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, the Egyptian prince was banging it all day today.
Okay. Shout out to Obi on the show. Thanks for watching, Kunal. Okay, quickly though, before we can probably talk forever, of course, but we know that time is money in this business. There's been some interesting trades as of late, and I'm going to talk about either DWAC turning into DJT, Reddit coming through, some of these more recent IPOs that have hit the market. Are those trades that interest you at all? Because for us, and especially most of our audience, we're looking for those like RVol trades where you get extended moves, more volatility on some of these names. For me personally, ARM was such a great release, Brendan, when we had that sort of direct list come through. Are you have any interest in Reddit or maybe DJT at these times, or even in ARM at these levels?
Yeah, so yesterday, I traded Reddit, DJT,
yeah, same.
And what's the new IPO? ALAB.
ALAB, yeah, Astera Labs.
ALAB, and ALAB was probably the best out of them, for the last couple of days, just because it's got the right mix, right? They're labeling themselves a semiconductor company and AI. So you have the super, right?
So what do you do? You take breakouts on these plays or what? Because for me, I have a 10-minute chart up right here. I don't know if you can see our screen or not, but you got some decent support levels in and around $70. But then if it doesn't get down there, I mean, are we waiting for sort of capitulated moves like we had earlier on today, $75? I don't know if you traded this name at all today, but that's kind of what I'm waiting for as a day trader. Extended moves, and then almost try to catch the reverse of that. So if you get a push down, we saw Tesla tank like $7 or $8 today, found a bottom, then boom, right back up to the upside. We see a lot of these, especially in some of these new lists.
So in trading, you have different buckets, right? So essentially you have breakout trades, pullback trades, and then within there, you're going to have trend trades. So like post breakout, essentially you're buying dips within the concept of the trend. That's one bucket of trades. Trading mean reversion, or what we'd call like a rubber band play, right? Which is just a snap back to the mean. That is also a bucket of trades. And so
what's been working more? What's been working more now? Because
so for me personally, being trend trades has been the flavor.
Okay.
Unless you get a stock that's gone up. For my specific thing, like when I try to short or do counter trend, I'm looking for 4 or 5 days up. A gap up that day specifically, and then I'm looking to fade it.
So I've been really trading. I've been loving Disney, I feel like is starting to break out again. Yeah, that's starting to be a really nice move as well. I have the chart up here on Disney. We're getting some good move. We have a shareholder meeting on April 3rd. Nice continuous trend here on the 10-minute, breaking above that 120. I really like Disney here. Is there a name that you're comfortable giving us? What are you looking forward? We're filming the podcast on Wednesday, so we'll tell everybody that. One more day of trade into Thursday. Then we release this on Saturday. So is there something that you're looking for maybe into next week? Anything that's maybe tickling your fancy, as they say?
Yes, so I got a couple names right here. Number one, this is the more speculative of names. A company called I believe what do they do? Like electric helicopters or something in China.
Oh my God.
He hangs the best.
Kunal, are you telling me that you're going to get into one of those helicopters? We talk about this on the show all the time. Like it looks like a little mini, like a Sea-Doo, but that's flying around.
Yeah.
It's a human-sized drone.
The setup itself is there.
All right, let's look at the stock.
There was a company that I entered today for a swing just based on the IWM strength, which was which is Wayfair.
Yep.
If you look at the daily chart of Wayfair, anytime the IWM has had big runs, Wayfair tends to go up because the float is like under 100 million. It tends to go up 100, 200%. Like anytime the IWM's had a run like this thing, and it's a turd stock, obviously, but anytime the IWM goes up, this stock goes on big runs because it's a $7 billion company, but it has a low float, and it tends to, when it catches steam, it really goes. So I'm personally, I've been trading these mega caps for so damn long.
Yeah, I'm stuck there too.
I'm personally looking at some of these IWM stocks. There's an IPO stock named Kava.
Yes.
And this will be just this is probably more of a day trade, but it's got an awesome level just sitting there at the 69 kind
Yeah,
of
we see
zone the
that
last
big
5-6
movement.
days. I think that one's got a lot of good steam left. And on the big boys, and I'd have to do options on it. Google looks like it's going to bust loose.
I don't
I'd
mind
probably
Google.
do like the 150, 250 options on it
Okay.
because Google only moves like a couple points a day.
Kunal, Wayfair 25% short float. So I don't know if that's something that you talk about, but for us and day trades, I mean, man, cannot get going when you get that. I love Wayfair, and I don't know if you know the slogan, they got what you need, and they've got what we need right now as well. That 91,
It does.
yeah, that 91 million float, the short float of 25%, and breaking above. Kunal, you might have just given us a couple nice ideas there. I really like that 70 break long. But you know the problem here, Kunal? How we trade with real trading, we have to be flat at the end of every single day. So we really need to get that momentum going. Find names that have catalysts, and I think you might have just hit that. We'll watch out for the IWM, and we'll watch for a nice little break there on Wayfair. And I like Google. I'm kind of stuck with you. Sometimes trading bigger cap names because I just love that there's so much size there. You can punch into 5,000 shares, 10,000 shares. Not really influence the level. It's there and it's nice, but some great ideas there. I like Kava.
Kunal, I want to go back on something you mentioned a little bit earlier, and I think it's important from a long-term standpoint. Everybody gets into this business with the hopes of being able to do it as a career, as we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Again, for anyone who maybe is just seeing or hearing from you for the first time, this is a guy that's been around, seen everything, any kind of a market condition, any kind of volatility. What if you could leave traders with some advice on how to keep and hold longevity in the trading game? What would that be?
Good. So this is really important. So first of all, this comes down to doing your own homework. Don't worry about mentors, YouTubes, all classes, even my class. Fuck it. Like you don't need all this stuff in the beginning. What I would personally do, like if it was my son, so I'm about to have a boy. I've been living the single life for a long time. About to have a son. I can only imagine what kind of nonsense he's going to be up to.
Attaboy.
But if I'm doing this right, so if I'm talking to my son, there's a handful of things that I'm doing right away. Number one, I say, go and study the top 100 winners of the last year, the year before, the year before that, the year before that, the year before that for the last decade. Learn what winners look like. Go through on each single one. What was the pattern it came out of?
Right.
Literally, like when it started to move, right? There's usually a big basing kind of pattern that it comes out of. That's low, not high, right? When they start to move. Low, not high. Mental no. All right. When it started, the move, was there a gap? Okay, what caused the gap? Let's study this a little bit. What caused that gap? Was it earnings? Was it PR? Some contract? What type of stock was it? Biotech, tech usually are the best. But man, lately, like you see some of these, like even retail stocks going, right? So learn this. Like I've been because I'm old school. I've been anti-retail stocks and bank stocks and gold stocks my whole life. Then all of a sudden, like I see like this GPS and ANF going, I'm like, shit. My old man tendencies came through and it cost me some profits, right? So I say, okay, write the catalyst, write the sector. Let's study this. For the last 10 years, the top 100. That's where you're going to go. Learn the pattern that it comes out of, what the catalyst was, and what the sector was, and the share characteristics. What was the float? What was the R-vol, right? What was the volume? What average volume, increasing volume? Now you've got yourself a base. So this does two things, and this is what this will make you a trader or not make you a trader. Anybody will buy a class. Americans got too much damn money. Europeans got a lot of damn money. The Arabs got even more money, right? I have people all the time. They buy my class. They spend thousands of dollars. They don't even show up. So buying a class.
Those are the people I like.
Yeah. Buying you a class does nothing. Watching YouTube videos does nothing. You do this exercise. Okay, by the end of the exercise, you're going to know if you're interested in stocks. If the nitty gritty interests you, because this is nitty gritty stuff, right? You got to catalog it, you got to Google Doc it, whatever, Excel it. Now you're doing this. But then after that, you're going to have an acute understanding of what makes stocks move. The top 100 stocks of the last decade, every year, you're going to know exactly what causes momentum. Because in the end, we're momentum traders, right? We're not $50 billion hedge funds that can sit in Apple computers and tickle our balls all day, right? We got to be in the hot heat.
Right.
And so when you do this, if you can't get through it, then you don't really like stocks or love stocks. It's probably not for you. You should do some swing trading with like some kind of trend following pullback kind of thing where, right, you could just kind of maybe get your 10, 15% gains, but like you're not in it for the, right, big, like FU, big cock money, right? Like that takes a whole different ball game. So study those big winners. If you get through that, you're going to learn a lot. Now you can go in and fine tune your education. Hey, I need to learn a little bit about more of this catalyst, some type of earnings breakout strategy.
Right.
Oh, I really like in the beginning of these moves that they're moving 20, 30% a day. I'd love to day trade those, right? Let me learn some scalping strategies, so on and so forth. And it's going to fine tune your education. But if you just buy education without really understanding what the markets is, what causes movement, and the nitty gritty, then you just end up homie hopping anyways. You're going to buy this guy's option class, and you're going to buy this random guy's stock class. You're going to buy this MLM Forex guy's class. You're going to be watching some very shady YouTube videos. I mean, you're going to be all over the place. You'll never get anywhere. 5 years from now, you're wondering like, holy crap, I know a lot, but I made no money.
Yeah, well said. Let's touch on the downside here. Let's touch on risk management. Was there a process that you went through to find what worked for you in this sense? Because I think there's a lot of similarities. You know, we talk about finding the strategy that works for you for trading. There's also many different ways that somebody can manage risk in a trade. How was it that you came to find what works for you?
So risk management is an awesome thing. First of all, people get really caught up into it. People, when they can't manage their risk, they all of a sudden start to assume that they have daddy issues, mommy issues, and they need a psychologist, right? And we're just in this age where it's like, you can't manage your risk or you can't do this, you need a psychologist. Trading psychologist, I got to read Trading in the Zone or Steenberger or something. This is not true. All risk management comes down to is a set of processes, right? Okay, what am I willing to risk on a trade? What am I willing to risk in a day? What am I willing to risk in a week? Okay, the problem comes in if you can't stick to those. Okay, so trading is so much about being creative. So you have these processes and these limits, but you're not sticking to them. Okay, how can I creatively solve this problem without, right, sticking my head in the toilet and going to a psychologist talking about how my mom didn't feed me when I was 5 years old, Twinkies instead of grapes. You can do this. Okay, be creative. Okay, I'm having trouble managing my risk and sticking to my max risk per trade. Okay, I'm going to use a stop loss. Okay, I'm not using stop losses. Okay, how can I do that? What creative thing can I do so that I use it? You can use an accountability buddy. I have students all the time. They're like, hey, I'm not using the stop loss. I'm like, use the stop loss. All right. After every single trade, you tell your wife. Easy enough. Hey, I'm buying 1,000 shares of Google 151. There's a lot of money. Your wife's going to ask you where your risk is, right? So just be creative. It's just about building a habit for a week or two. It's not forever, right? We just have to build a habit for a week or two, and then we can get somewhere. And so risk management is always just like about being creative and solving problems on a short-term basis on whatever you have to do, because the problems will change. Like even for myself, like I have risk management problems all the time, but they change. Sometimes maybe I'm over aggressive because I get cocky, right? Sometimes I'm doing this or that, and we always will have them. They don't go away. The key is always like, okay, you have your base parameters. If you're not sticking to them, let's find some creative solutions so that you can. It could be software based. You know, you can tell, for example, if you're using Desk Trader platform, you can put a max loss in right in your platform. Tell the broker, they will market you order out of your positions that day. if you have a give back rule, I have had a give back rule my whole life.
Yep.
And I give back profits midday. Like, I mean,
Like
if I
candy,
told
baby.
you how much, if I told you how much money I gave back in the middle of the day, you would
No,
lose the rest of your hair.
Kunal, I go for
As I
walks. Like I know my hair's almost gone. I go for walks in the middle of the day. I think that's very, very important. I wanted to actually talk to you about something because I have 3 kids, and I'm actually Brendan. We talked about this on the show, and congratulations again
Thank you.
to yourself. I give my kids the opposite advice. I say run as far away from trading as possible, and let me tell you why. Because I want you to address this with me if you can. The majority of traders, 98% of them to be factual, fail at this. The reason
99.
why 99, let's go Wayne Gretzky. Shout out to Steve Yzerman, shout out to Red Wings, what's up with that? Nick Lidstrom and the boys. All right, my main thing about all of this is very, very simple. If you're not passionate about this, hit the road, Jack, okay? I can tell in your voice, and obviously your teachings, you've been here for 20 plus years, we've highlighted that. If you're not passionate about the stock market, you are going, and trading in general, and building your own business. I think there's a couple of different things we need to talk about when you're day traders, because you eat what you kill, obviously. I almost think that let your son study those 100 names. Let him go over all this stuff. But at the end of the day, and I think we'll agree on this, if he or she is not passionate about what they're doing, they're not going to be successful to begin with. So for me, I tell all of our traders that are watching, and obviously people that are watching this podcast have an interest in what we're doing, but if that passion's not there really, it's going to be something that the road is going to be long and hard traveled. If you're going to give up on something, day trading is probably one of those first things, because it's going to take you years. It's going to take you mindless number of hours to figure out what am I doing wrong and what am I doing right. So I just wonder if you had a take on something like that, because if I don't see the passion in traders here on the floor, I've hired thousands of traders, and what I look for is that passion. Do they have that? And for me, if my kids have it, let's push. My daughter wants to play hockey. She's up at 6 a.m. doing that. I don't have a problem doing it, because she asked me, Daddy, she's 9 years old, Kunal. Can I go play hockey? So I'm like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, why not?
For me, the most successful traders come from that passion. So can you speak to that and the passion that maybe burns inside of you and what you've seen in other successful traders? And if you don't have it, then get out of here.
So, couple things. First of all, like if you just get into trading to make money,
Right.
there are easier ways to make money. There really is. I'd be a dentist. To make millions of dollars, yeah, you got to go to school a lot.
Right.
But you kind of got to go to school the same amount of years to be a trader as you would a dentist.
Yep.
You don't,
Perfect
you may even
example.
have to spend it may not be $500,000 in education. You're going to be spending some education money, and you're going to spend some years to do it.
Right.
So there's other ways to do it. If you do not have the means to do that, dude, I back in the day, I had some friends that made millions of dollars a year trading subprime mortgages, right?
Right.
There's so many things you can do to make money. Like these days, dude, I have a kid. My marketing guy, he's 24 years old. He makes hundreds of thousands of dollars a year.
Can we borrow him?
Yeah. Between me and all these other, he's got a couple other clients. Dude, the kid's a genius. He's 24 years old.
Okay, send information. Kunal,
Right.
but that's the point. This guy that you have is passionate about marketing, right? He knows the ins and outs. He's probably a Twitter, social media, he knows all of that, And guys like me, you, Brendan, and the hosts that we have on the show, I think this is just so important that you have to love what you're doing. And I don't care if you, like you mentioned, dentist, artist, whatever, working concrete.
It could be anything. A lot easier ways to make money in this world. This is America, man. You got people just sitting there doing this on TikTok, and they're making money.
No shit.
Dude, I met a guy that is been making like $20,000-$30,000 a month, and he's been using girl influencers to sell products, and they've been AI chicks.
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, I'm
what?
down with that. I know, it's so wild, it's so wild.
'Cause I was looking at them like, damn, these chicks are pretty hot, man. Let me follow them.
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
My wife was like, who you following? I'm like, nobody.
Nobody,
Okay,
yeah, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, don't worry about it.
Unfollow.
How many
They were
fake
AI
accounts
chicks.
do you have? How many fake accounts? Honestly, that's the one thing that kind of saves me in that relationship, because there's Trader TV Sean with 2 N's. There's Trader TV Sean with a period in there. I'm sure you've dealt with that crap.
There is. So there's just a lot easier ways to make money. The thing with trading is you're going to get knocked down. And it's more than knocked down, though. So trading is a lot about obedience, meaning, are you willing to do the nitty-gritty work day after day, obedience after obedience, no matter what? So, for example, if I'm a brand new trader, I just lost $5,000. It's 25% of my account, 30% of my account. I broke all my rules. Are you willing to do your trade journal at night? Are you willing to do your scans at night and sift through 1,000 stocks?
Right.
Are you willing to go through those trades and really dig in? Are you willing to look at all the big winners and dissect them and figure out, why was I not in these versus these other ones? And do this nitty-gritty, boring work. The fun part is, of course, trading the buttons and seeing the P&L. The boring part is doing the journaling, doing the studying, this kind of stuff. Are you willing to do that after a big loss? Or
Kunal,
multiple days of big losses? Many people are not, and those people cannot survive. But the guy that does that work after you just get destroyed, man, he's got a chance.
And I think we can relate that to all kinds of jobs, right? I mean, you're not going to become professional in anything unless you put in the work. I'm going to give it over to Brendan, but just real quickly, I hope you have like an AI nanny or someone like that, because you just mentioned putting in work in the evening time. Well, if you got that new baby coming, my guy, good luck on that.
Optimus.
Get your studies done. Oh yeah, Optimus on Tesla.
It's coming.
Yeah, you like Tesla at these levels, by the way, Kunal?
50-50.
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
a trend trader, so for me, Tesla is like just a nothing burger.
Yeah, let me call it. I think we're bouncing off that 170, but I agree with you. There's not much happening right now. So my guess would be if we break that 160 bottom would maybe where you'd get excited, because then we could trend a little lower, maybe even to that $100 level.
I think it's just like it's a tweener.
Right.
And it's like you're sitting in the back seat of your buddy's Volkswagen, but like in the middle.
Right.
You're the most uncomfortable spot.
It's like there's not enough leg room.
I'm not left none.
Right. You kind of. Hey, on a plane, are you a aisle seat or a window seat?
Did I like to be by that window?
Me too,
but
me too.
You don't always get that these days.
But then you got to climb over people when you want to.
Nah, I'm just trying to sleep,
to
man.
the
I'm just trying to put my head on the window, get that pillow going. You know what I mean? Stay away from me. I'm not trying to let people go in between.
I mean, Kunal, can you imagine, if we rewind the clock back to January, Boeing and Tesla, the 2 worst stocks in the S&P this year so far?
True. I mean, and Apple too.
Apple down 10% against the up 10. Oh, how about that? Talk about market breadth. I mean, we had heard that so many times, Kunal, that, hey, if Apple falls, if the big guys fall, this market is dead. They're all moving in opposite ways. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with the breadth.
This is true, but there is a caveat to that, which is that, Apple Computers was the largest cap stock in the market. So when Apple went up, everything went up. But Microsoft caught them.
Yep.
And the big surprise, and that's what's changing a lot of the indexes in the market breadth, is that NVIDIA caught them. NVIDIA was 500 billion, a year ago or a year and a half ago.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
They are as big or bigger than Apple for at least a few days. When NVIDIA was at 950, they were bigger than Apple by a couple $100 billion. So that is the thing that nobody planned for, right? Like NVIDIA was literally $500, $600 billion company. We're like, hey, cool. They make graphics cards for gamers. Like we're thinking they do shit for PS5.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. And we're thinking they do stuff for crypto miners.
I remember.
Not that any crypto miners make any money, but
to rewind like 7 years, I remember sitting here, and as soon as the show was done, I would be phoning up different computer places around here. Hey, do you have that like 1080 card, that 1060? Because in my stupid garage, here I am building a Bitcoin miner, and maybe we got one coin, I don't know what it was, mining these other shit coins, to be honest with you. And then at the end of the day, I should have just put money in the stock, buy NVIDIA at those points. But
trading's easy.
trading is very easy, Brendan. Didn't you know that?
Yeah. Kunal, give us your thoughts on this ETF land now that we have to deal with when it comes to Bitcoin.
Well, I think that one is actually a positive for Bitcoin. When it happens, it's always sell the news. We know sell the news is the oldest day trading play around. So like when the Bitcoin ETFs, went live, at least like me and my group, we were shorting the shit out of everything for a handful of days. But the real thing is that Bitcoin has a very limited supply, and there's nothing bigger than ETFs, right? I mean, if you compare how much money is in ETFs versus how much money is in individual stocks, it's fairly even or fairly scaled. Like there's a lot of money in ETFs. There's a lot of ETFs out there, thousands of ETFs. So this is a bullish thing for Bitcoin long term because, dude, it's hard to trade Bitcoin. You ever try to open an account at one of these brokers? First of all, with all the scams that went on with like Gemini and FTX, there are not very many places to trade Bitcoin.
Right. I actually feel
Where do you go?
we all have stories like this, but I said this on the show. Despite not being able to trade out maybe on the weekend and after hours when ETFs don't have that much liquidity, but you know what? If I'm hodling these things, I mean, why not just put my money into my RA or whatever? I can hold an ETF in there, and then I don't have to worry about it. I let that thing sing, and we give it to our kids when Bitcoin's at $1 million, and we deal with it at that point. I think ETFs has allowed such an easy transfer of money into crypto, right? We heard today either Morgan or someone else put their application for Ethereum. I think that can get going back up to the upside. I like the landscape, and yeah, let's put some more money into Bitcoin.
It's these ETFs have really saved the day because Coinbase,
right?
which is the only broker left, right? So Gemini got in all this trouble. Voyager went bankrupt. This one went bankrupt.
Right.
Not bankrupt. They stole, right? These were Ponzi schemes. All crypto things are Ponzi schemes for the most part. These exchanges, right?
Yep.
But like Coinbase, for example, when I make a trade on Coinbase, it costs $1,000, sometimes $2,000. And this is not like crazy size, right? Like you could do $100,000, $200,000 volume
Trades, right.
trade on Coinbase. If you're not adding liquidity, they're going to charge you a couple G's for it.
Yeah.
So, and then you do it back and forth, right? You sell it. So you can't scalp.
No.
You can't day trade, right? Not at that kind of commission. The commission is what you were trying to make, right? So you can't do that. So these ETFs change the game, and they got options. So like for me, I'd way rather trade BITO or IBIT than give Coinbase like $1,000 commission to buy 3 Bitcoins, and trade it back and forth.
Yep, I like that.
No, I mean, and on that, we get this sentencing, as you were mentioning, SBF sentencing is tomorrow.
Did you know he was on our show, Kunal, SBF?
That I did not know, but I'm not surprised that he was a crook because look at the way he dresses.
What are you trying to say about us? No, but he was
like, you guys dress nice. That's why. Look, out of traders, what do the new traders look like? They wear hats and hoodies to like interviews, conferences, and they're like, yo, and you're like, huh?
Our production staff is laughing right now.
We have a bunch of 20-year-olds running around here wearing hoodies.
and
isn't that right?
Yeah. But
you see a kid with like a really whiskey mustache, maybe one of those ski caps.
Right.
And he's talking about trading, you run.
Here he is right here. Look, he's got the ski cap on as we
speak. Mustache, ski cap. That's a wispy mustache.
Yeah.
See, these are the jokes. We're not taking trade. And you know the funny thing, Kunal, is you absolutely nailed this because in my ear every day, the minute I talk about Bitcoin, this kid is like, yeah, baby, Bitcoin, baby. And he's like, he wants me to pump it up. But no.
I want my finance guys to be jacked.
Yep.
Like fucking eating grass-fed ground beef and drinking green juices by the gallon.
Matcha tea, baby.
Rolling around on their private jets, like talking to presidents.
Yeah.
Like SBF.
Yeah, I feel lucky that I just used Brendan's private jet. So I don't, he just, you know.
What?
Yeah. Oh, they didn't tell you?
Well, I'm not talking about us day traders. I'm talking about these like, $20 billion guys. like SBF's at his heyday was worth 20, 30 billion.
Yeah, when he was on our show, his net worth was $26 billion. And I talked to him just like I'm talking to you. He was sitting at his desk in Singapore, bunch of traders behind him, hair all over the place, torn t-shirt, you nailed that one. And I asked the dude, I said, what about cold storage? And he's like, nah, you can hold your coins on exchange. Buy $7 billion on FTX. But yeah, what an amazing time that was. Yeah, I kind of wish.
Wearing a t-shirt and interview better be Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, yes, man.
No,
yes,
I think it was like some
or Wu-Tang.
It was some video game or something.
If he was wearing, he's probably wearing a Pokemon t-shirt. But if it was Wu-Tang or something, I think we would have been happy with
Unreal.
that.
Good times. Kunal, anything else you want to relay to the masses here before we let you get on?
No, man, I'm impressed, man. You guys did something that the CNBC should have done, which was make a show for traders and investors where people actually give knowledge. You ever see what they do? I mean, it's like this guy that I was watching the interview the other day where he's like, you guys are trading live in front of people. This guy's like talk about Apple for months, right?
I know,
like
I
he's
hate
like,
these
hey,
guys.
Apple. And then the lady asked him the other day, she's like, well, like, what's your position in Apple looking like? Oh, he's like, well,
Flat.
we're not in it. And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, I have a lot of different funds and we go in and out, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I saw that. I saw homegirl in the blue shirt today, man. She was just wheeling and dealing. And the Egyptian prince was sitting there trading Amazon, telling people live like what they're doing.
He has a new name going.
Yeah, we're going to use that tomorrow.
No, that's happening.
I had over 200 fills today. I mean, we trade like maniacs on the show. But that's what we pride ourselves with, Kunal, honestly, is showing our ins, showing our outs. And look, everybody can clear as day. We talked about those fake, I made $70,000 today. Well, look, these are the trades I made. You put the amount of shares on that you want.
Exactly.
Not every account is going to be treated the same.
It says on the wall behind us here, real trading for a reason, and that's part of what we're doing. And I mean, you mentioned CNBC. It's funny, we'll bring up a news story.
I never heard of CNBC
or
before.
Something that's happening, with a stock in the moment because people want to know right now, and then you hear CNBC talk about it an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours later after they, quadruple check everything.
Right. It's like, oh, these weed stocks are breaking out. So I just go long. Meanwhile, 3 hours later, they're like, oh yeah, back there was some sort of movement happening. Kamala Harris said something, and now we can't find her. But anyways,
Kunal, tell everyone where people can find you online.
Hey, I'm at bullsonwallstreet.com, and my Twitter is Kunal00, Kunal00. My YouTube is Bulls on Wall Street. And you'll know me. I'm running the world's oldest and longest running live trading course since 2008.
There you go.
Impressive.
I'm the guru to the gurus.
There you go. Great. Great chat. Great.
I'm not letting this guy go yet, though.
Okay.
Because, Kunal, you got to promise us one thing. You ready?
Got it.
Come back.
Hey.
You know it.
All right, let's go. Episode 20, baby.
Kunal Desai, great to have you. #1 guest, episode 20 in the books. We appreciate your time. Have a great evening.
I appreciate you guys.
Ciao, my guy.